Here we go. San Francisco 49ers falling 28-14 to the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. Croc in Atlanta. Back on the West Coast in the San Francisco Bay Area. We are here to break it all down for you. We'll have our immediate takeaways from that game, key plays, what were the biggest reasons the 49ers lost this game, and of course, give out some game balls for Week 6 coming up right now.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker with you as always at BD Peacock at Eric_Crocker. Thanks for making us your first listen here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. Pick 2 to 5 players, and if they score more or less than their PrizePick projections, you can win up to 10 times your money on your entry. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. That's prizepicks.com. Promo code Locked On. Croc, downtown ATL. I like the digs you're at right now. I think you're at your sister's place, right? I can see the downtown skyline outside the window. That's nice, man. I hope you made it through downtown okay post-game after this matchup with the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, I didn't even know she lived downtown. So when I was looking for a hotel to stay at, I ended up asking her, like, hey, where do you stay? She's like, I'm right downtown. I'm like, oh, staying at your house the whole time. So, yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Before we get going here, and, I want your bird's eye view of what it was like in the stands watching this football game. We're going to break down exactly what happened here in this one. An interesting photograph I went across, and I think I need you to break this one down for me. If you're watching on YouTube, it's up on the screen right now. There's a picture of Croc in the stands with a Rise Up Atlanta Falcons shirt on. Did you get converted while you were there, Croc?
I got converted into being a Falcon fan. I said, yeah, this is what an offense is supposed to look like. My buddy who went to the game with me, my guy Malik, he ended up coming. He actually lives in Arkansas as well, but he flew out just to go to the game with me. And we had a bet before the game. Whoever loses has to wear some stuff from the other team starting in the stands, and then you got to wear it all the way outside. So I had to throw on the Rise Up t-shirt, which I actually kept because I think I might work out in it. So
wow,
yeah, got it somewhere right there. We go, right there.
Rise Up. Croc has been rising up in the gym recently.
A little bit, yeah.
199 pounds, looking good. We got to get into this game here, Croc, with the San Francisco 49ers falling to the Atlanta Falcons. What was your Greg Pinelli says, shaking my head, he did not like the Croc in Falcons gear. Look, man, you can't lose that bet. And the 49ers lost that bet for you, I assume. That wasn't a Croc lost bet. That was a 49ers lost bet, right? That was the reason you're wearing that shirt. So what went down? What was it like with the bird's eye view for you in the stands in Atlanta? Is there something that you took away from this game? Was like, this is the reason the 49ers lost this football game?
I think missed opportunities. And that's kind of been the theme in some of the 49ers losses. You look at week 1 against the Chicago Bears, and you just see missed opportunities. And in this game, I mean, that was the biggest thing. You see the drop on a really nice throw downfield by Jimmy Garoppolo to Ray McLeod, and it went off of his hands. And then you look at the drop by Charlie Warner up the seam. And then you look at a big play to Brandon Ayuk on ended up being like the 49ers' last drive, or second to last drive, but the drive trying to go down and score a touchdown, and it gets called back for holding. So I think that was probably the biggest thing. I don't think the 49ers are an offense that can miss opportunities, right? You look at the Buffalo Bills. I watched them, and they had kind of the later evening game, and you see an interception thrown in the end zone early in the game, and then you know what? It doesn't matter because these teams or quarterbacks kind of fire back. So I think ultimately it might have gotten Kansas City. But for the most part, you see missed opportunities there. A fumble. There was a fumble in the red zone for Josh Allen. Didn't matter. He threw for like 350 yards and won the game.
Yeah, and the 49ers don't have that kind of firepower to come back from mistakes. And especially with what Sam says here, Falcons held the ball all day, could not get them off the field, and could not make every possession count on offense. And I think that was a big thing for the 49ers and we talked about it in the week leading up, a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the ball. Nick Bosa ended up not going in this game, and we said this might have to be a game where the offense carries the 49ers, and that was the case, and they were not able to. But all those injuries on the defensive side of the ball, do you get the feeling, Croc, that there's like that even year thing going on with the 49ers? 2018, we saw obviously in 2016, which was just a disaster of a season before Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch took over. 2020 was the worst of them all as far as the injuries. In those odd years when they've had people healthy, when they've had their quarterback and Nick Bosa and George Kittle all on the field at the same time, they win games. And when one of those guys is missing, something's usually off. And we saw it here. Bosa was out. 49ers lose the game here. So on one hand, you feel good that Bosa's probably going to be back next week. The 49ers lost this game. I think reason A is because of some of the injuries that they weren't able to overcome. But you also get worried if they stay injured, is that the end of the season? Is this that even year? Is it the even year bad luck that the 49ers have had recently?
I don't know if it's the even year thing, but I would say one thing that kind of jumped out, and we brought it up last week, and it comes off as kind of being Debbie Downer, and I kept trying to reference that, like, look, I don't want to act like someone who they didn't enjoy the previous 2 wins, but this offense is very clunky. And if you have as many injuries to your defense like the 49ers have, can they still win? And it's not just, you have injuries to the defense. The 49ers they 100% needed the 49ers to have one of the historically best defenses since year 2000, right? The 2000 Baltimore Ravens. They're going to compare it to that. And it took them that type of defensive performance to win. So if there is a drop-off because you have all these injuries, could the 49ers offense carry the defense for once? And that was a big question that we asked. I think we got the answer. I think the answer right now is probably more so no. And I would say with this, it was really more self-inflicted. Leaving the stadium, a lot of people are like, man, Kyle Shanahan. They're drilling Kyle. And I don't want to just let him off the hook because he's coaching these things. But I think there were opportunities there offensively that he schemed up, and it just you didn't get the results that you wanted, and it stopped drives. And then defensively, you just could not get the Falcons really off the field. Marcus Mariota threw 1 incompletion. I believe he was like 12 or 13 or 13 or 14. And when he needed to use his legs, he did that. He made plays, and the 49ers didn't make plays or didn't capitalize when the plays were there. So I don't know if that has anything to do with 2018, 2020, et cetera, but it definitely was something that I thought of before the game, and it kind of came true during the game.
I know we went through that as San Francisco Giants fans, so it always sticks with me, the even year, odd year stuff, and it does feel like it's happening again with the San Francisco 49ers now. Greg says 3-0, lost the turnover battle, 3-8 on third downs versus 9-14. Not ideal. Yeah, that's the way it goes, and those things are hard to overcome. You mentioned the stats there for Marcus Mariota, 13 of 14, nearly perfect. 144.6 passer rating, 158.3, 153.8, something like that, is a perfect passer rating. Sacked him twice, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, only 129 yards passing though. And that was kind of the thing. It was just like long sustained drives. It wasn't really big plays killing them. The Falcons ran the ball better than the 49ers. So when you put it all together for the 49ers, you're not able to run the ball, and your defense isn't able to stop the opposing team like they had the first 5 weeks of the year. It puts it all in the passing game for the 49ers. And the 49ers aren't really built that way with the passing game. More on that, though, and Jimmy Garoppolo's play. Kyle Shanahan, can you start to point the finger in those directions? I know a lot of people like to. Every time you lose a football game, it goes to the coach and the quarterback, which is, pretty common and usually very, very fair. Why it might not be exactly fair in this case, Croc. And of course, we'll give out some game balls from week 6 next. How about Nugenics? Ever feel like you just can't get in shape anymore? Croc, I know you've been working really hard, but you got to work out like twice a day, right? Like, how much harder is it now for you to get into shape versus maybe 5 years ago?
A lot harder.
And for me, I'm just trying to stay in the bad shape I'm in and not get worse. That's kind of where I am at. I need to go to one of Croc's boot camps in Arkansas to really get myself in shape, run around on that turf. But, and a lot of times it is not your fault. As men age, our bodies naturally lose free testosterone, the man hormone. It happens to every man and can make it more difficult to stay in shape and be energetic and active. Remember when it felt easy? That's because when you were younger, you were at your peak of testosterone production, what some have called the winner's hormone and the man hormone. Wouldn't it be nice to get the winner's edge again? Get that back. Get that old swagger back in your step. Want more energy to counter the negative physical effects of aging? Nugenix Total T Testosterone Booster with Testofen will help you turn back the clock, re-energize your workouts, and get better results at the gym and help you look and feel like the man you really want to be. Because Nugenix Total T boosts free testosterone that the aging process robs, you'll feel stronger, leaner, with more energy and drive and more passion too. Your partner will notice the difference. Now, get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T when you text NFL to 231-231. That number is 231-231. Text NFL. Text now to get a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, their most powerful fat incinerator ever, with key ingredients to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text the letters NFL to the number 213-213. Text NFL to 213-213. Message and data rates may apply. Terms apply. Available at nugenix.com/terms. Oh, you know what else can really help you and has helped me every single day since I started taking it was AG1. One scoop in water. That's all it is. You get all the vitamins and nutrients in a day that you need. Is the simplest thing you can do for yourself every single morning. First thing, could not be easier. One scoop in water. Boom. You are done with all of your 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens every single day to help you get your day started right. The special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. All of these things at once with AG1. And it's so easy to incorporate it into your life. And for me, trying to drink less caffeine in the mornings, and this is something that actually gives you energy instead of making it feel like you're kind of jittery. And I love myself some coffee. So what I've actually started to do is go decaf coffee because I like the taste of it. I like the ritual of coffee, but the AG1 is actually the thing that's giving me a little extra pep in my step in the mornings to give me the actual energy, because it's actually replenishing the things that my body needs with all of those vitamins and giving me some of that energy with simplicity too, with that one scoop in a glass of water. That's all it takes. It's lifestyle friendly as well, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy free, or gluten free. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar as well. No GMOs, no nasty chemicals, no artificial anything, while tasting great. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs of AG1 with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NFL network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NFL network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Okay, Croc, you mentioned a little bit about Kyle, and we've seen a lot of this. I want to go to the chat with Sam again. Sam's coming strong today, by the way. He said it's hard to compete when you can't put stars on the field. Garoppolo played very well today. It ain't on him. And I agree. And that's one of the biggest points I want to come with. Look, everything kind of leads to the top with the coach. I don't know how much of the injuries you can blame on the coach or whatever they have in place as far as training, as far as stretching, as far as anything, but way too many groins and high ankles and all those things. Something's going on. 49ers have had the worst injury luck in the league too many times. It's not luck when it keeps happening over and over again. Something is going on there. But it's got a new training staff than they've had before. So I got to put that aside because it's so hard for someone like us, Croc, to even know exactly why that is. And maybe it is just luck. But one person you can't blame this game on and the 49ers loss on is Jimmy Garoppolo. And I'd almost go to the other side and say this is one of the best games Jimmy Garoppolo has played with the 49ers. Dude was throwing dimes down the field, and his guys would not make a play for him. They should have put way more than 14 points up on the field. Like, one of the best throws he's ever made was the deep ball to Ray McCloud, who couldn't come down with it. Charlie Warner can't come down with another one that's 20 yards down the field. There's a play where Garoppolo, what he's not known for, is making a second reaction play, right? Buying some time with his legs, throwing across the field deep ball on the deep crosser to Brandon Ayuk. Gets called back for a penalty on Jake Brendel. Like, he could not get helped out by the rest of the 49ers offense. Jimmy Garoppolo did what he needed to do with no running game and the defense banged up to win this game and make some big plays. Not only was it not his fault, I was impressed by the game that Jimmy Garoppolo played.
Yeah, I thought watching him in the stands, it was pretty clear that, he was dialed in and he definitely made some throws. And one thing about Jimmy, because again, I watch it and I watch all these other quarterbacks and I see some of the things they're doing. When he is on like that and he's making some of those throws, you 100% have to capitalize on it, because I don't think you can count on from play to play him putting that same type of pressure on opposing defenses. So a throw downfield to Brandon Ayuk or Ray McLeod or Charlie Warner, you have to capitalize on those things, and they just weren't able to. Now, you would like him to just be able to say, you know what, guys, don't worry about it. I'm going to go out here. I'm going to make a play for our team. But I think it is clear, like, he's not quite that guy. So for what Jimmy Garoppolo is, I thought he did have one of his better games. He was pretty sharp, and it's unfortunate that it just wasn't enough offensively.
I know there are the 2 interceptions. One is a Hail Mary at the end of the first half. Like, you can't really put that on Jimmy Garoppolo. The other one, there's some throws that Jimmy Garoppolo makes sometimes that people look at as there's some really garbage throws. Jimmy's trying to not get Deebo Samuel decapitated sometimes. Sometimes when you see throws behind Deebo, maybe a little bit low, I think those are throws where Jimmy Garoppolo, and you see this with a lot of quarterbacks, they're trying to protect their receiver who's going over the middle of the field, not lead him into trouble. Deebo is like, kind of doesn't care, right? Deebo's built different. He's wired a little bit different. He'll run through a wall. Some of the throws that Jimmy Garoppolo makes, and this isn't to excuse everything away, the interception he threw was high. Deebo got hit early, by the way, on that play. But when some of the throws that Jimmy Garoppolo makes, he throws behind a receiver because he's trying to protect him. And that's the quarterback telling the receiver, hey, I'm throwing this behind you on purpose. You need to go down, fetal position, catch the ball. There's no catch and run on this play because you're going to get leveled if you don't. And sometimes I think Deebo wants to like keep going and like reach back and grab those balls instead of settling down. I think there's some timing. There's some issues with Garoppolo and some of his receivers that's been clear with some of those things. And Jimmy obviously makes some bad throws at times and does turn the ball over too much. But this wasn't a game where it was like, oh, Jimmy Garoppolo threw 2 terrible interceptions. 49ers couldn't score. Like, Jimmy needed help in this one that he didn't get. Even on Ayuk had a fantastic game. Ayuk had 2 touchdown catches, 8 receptions total in this one. In fact, identical 8 for 83 lines for Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle in this one. But I think Ayuk could have helped out Jimmy on another ball. He threw the other deep ball in the post down the field. It was a little bit short, right? It hung up a little bit for Ayuk, but that's a 50-50 ball. That's where you draft a first-round wide receiver to go up and pull a ball down over a backup cornerback, by the way, who's only in the game because A.J. Terrell got hurt. And Ayuk, who played a fantastic game, don't get me wrong, but on that play, Ayuk could have helped out his quarterback too. He was alone in the middle of the field. It's a 50-50. It's called a 50-50 ball for a reason. You want your good receivers to make it more like a 70-30 ball, an 80-20 ball. And Brandon Ayuk hasn't shown that ability down the field. Mistimed his jump, was kind of late on it, let the guy get in front of him. He should have been able to post up and pull down that rebound for his quarterback. So Jimmy Garoppolo did not get a lot of help on this game. And I know there's a lot of Jimmy Garoppolo haters. This was not a game that was on him.
It wasn't, but almost like Jimmy Garoppolo, right? Like, I've scaled my kind of expectations on what he is and what he isn't, and I understand, like, okay, probably not going to get this right, and I don't have those expectations of him. When the ball's in the air down the field and it's set up to be a 50-50 ball to Brandon Ayuk, my expectations aren't that he's going to be someone that comes down with that ball, because he hasn't really shown us to be that guy, especially vertically down the field. So I do get where you're coming from. The ball, it definitely hung up a little bit. I think there was an opportunity for a potential pass interference on defense. When you see a ball that is kind of thrown, it was kind of like a little high and behind him, so he kind of had to stop and kind of reach back, and in the corner while kind of coming through him was also like knocking the ball away. So, you see that. But yeah, that hasn't been Brandon Ayuk's game. So even when the ball was in the air and I kind of was able to see and it was kind of coming towards me, I'm like, oh, that's Ayuk. I didn't really have expectations of him coming down with the ball.
Mike, clearly upset with this game, says, okay, here we go with the overboard with the Jimmy excuses. Like, what do you want Jimmy to do on the ball to Ray McLeod? Like, that could have been the biggest play of the game. You want the 49ers to put up points? How about a breakaway touchdown that Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't have walked over and placed in a better spot for Ray McLeod. Same with Charlie Warner. Like, if you're going to crush Jimmy, you've got to be realistic with some of the drops and some of the plays that he made. Like, those were dime, big-time throws. And we don't even see a lot of those from Jimmy G. He's letting the ball go a little bit deeper down the field than he has with the 49ers. So, like, you have to be realistic. You have to put that hate, that Jimmy G hate that I know is deep inside your body sometimes. You got to put it aside and be realistic in this game and say that the 49ers didn't help Jimmy. Jimmy did not throw this game away.
I think the tough thing when it comes to Jimmy Garoppolo, and yeah, somebody talked about the fumble. I forgot about that fumble return for a touchdown. But the one thing that is tough, and it's kind of my defense of the people that are kind of push against Jimmy Garoppolo and whatnot, but you can't make it to where, 3 plays just scraps the whole game, right? And that kind of speaks to like how small your room for error is when he's your quarterback. And you get those, then yeah, maybe you win, right? You help the defense out, and you get on, you keep them off the field a little bit longer, and you help from that standpoint. But it's just tough because in every game I watch, I see quarterbacks miss throws, I see dropped passes, So like 3 plays, one that came back, then the 2 other that were dropped, like that can't be the reason why. It's like, oh man, they didn't help them. Like now you just can't win. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to be able to overcome that.
Yeah, you're right. The margin of error is too tight because not only the 49ers need the passing game to carry them because they couldn't run the ball and the defense was not healthy. So all that together just it makes the margin for error so difficult for everybody, which is why it's really hard to point at Jimmy or even point to Kyle Shanahan. Like, did you see any play calls that you're like, man, Kyle, what are you doing out there? Because a lot of people want to blame Kyle. I don't think you can point to Kyle in this one either. Like, who was it? Let's see. I think I saved it here. Yeah. Prentice says, old bubble screen McGee has been making that offense look like a professional version of Army Navy. I don't know if he's referring to Jimmy or Kyle as old bubble screen McGee. And I love it. I get it. But actually that screen game worked really well when they were going down the field and scoring points earlier in that game when they were coming back and tied it up at 14. So I like the screen game is a strength for the 49ers. They should always feature the screen because that's how they're built with catch and run guys. If you don't have downfield separation, guys that can catch the ball down the field, then how else are you going to score if you're not throwing the short stuff?
Yeah, I think they did a really good job of stretching the defense out, making them cover every blade of grass horizontally, right? And they did some misdirection stuff, got the ball in their playmakers' hands in space, and they were able to capitalize on that a couple of times in the drive. The tough thing is, people coming up, and then obviously you had the downfield shots, and you weren't able to capitalize on those. So that was tough. But I thought Kyle called a good game. That's what it looked like to me. If I have any gripe, it would be, and I got my brother right here, and I was telling him while we're at the game, go tempo. Pick up the tempo sometimes. Why does everything have to be so stagnant? Even after a good play, it's okay, let's huddle up and then, get back. I think at some point, let's do some things to, either catch the defense off balance or maybe they have to simplify what they're doing now because you're going fast. And, hey, man, you get a 9-yard gain. All right, we're back on the ball, even if it's a handoff. Boom, you get a first down. Okay, we're back on the ball. Now let's throw this screen. And you start getting guys moving side to side. And you just never see that. And then at the end of the game, when there's they get the ball in 10 minutes, then you go on an 8-minute drive and come away with 0 points. I get it. You're backed up. You're on the 1-yard line. That's tough. But where was the sense of urgency in those 8 minutes? I mean, it was, or 10, we got the ball 10 minutes left. And I'm thinking oh man, you got to score before 5 minutes. That's what I was thinking. Then I'm just damn, can you just score? And next thing you know, it's 2-minute warning. So, get downfield, hit them, boom, get on the ball. Let's go, let's move. And they didn't do it. That's one thing I talked about Kyle calling a good game. I thought throughout the game the plays were there, but that was terrible to me. And I get what he said about, you have to score 2 times anyways. Whatever, man. Leave a little room for error, but even then, going fast, I think when I've coached against defenses that play fast, it puts a lot of pressure on me to get my guys in these advantageous situations where I am calling the right play. I am putting them in position. Oh, we got to go fast. Just simplify it. Hey, just go here, cover three. And we just have to keep everything super simple. And there was never that type of pressure. So now you're not putting pressure on the defense with your run game. You're not putting pressure on the defense with your passing game, and then you're not doing anything to help put pressure on opposing teams by maybe speeding up the pace of your offense. And I think that's tough.
I totally agree, especially late in the game. If it takes you 8 minutes to drive down the field and score, and there's only 10 minutes left, how are you going to score twice? Right. So you gotta move the tempo a little bit too deliberate late in the game. There was the 3rd down and 1 play where they tossed the Coleman, and I don't necessarily like going negative with the toss like that far behind the line of scrimmage. So he's got to find his way back to the line of scrimmage just to get to equal before getting that extra yard. But of course, you're in 4 down territory at that point. You can run it on 3rd down because you're going to run another play on 4th down. I think a lot of people didn't like that play call, and I get it, but I don't know. Yeah, I think tempo. I agree. Croc is probably the worst part of the game calling from Kyle Shanahan's aspect. But he was just behind the 8 ball with all the injuries on the 49ers. We've got to give out some game balls, Croc. We will do that next for Week 6. 49ers lost to the Atlanta Falcons. But first, PrizePicks. And you might have gone over on a lot of the PrizePicks, maybe even for Marcus Mariota in this game. A surprisingly high-scoring game, especially for the Falcons coming out of the gate quick in that banged-up 49ers defense. Daily fantasy made easy as PrizePicks. How does it work? Pick 2 to 5 players, and if they go score more or less than their PrizePick projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on any entry. No competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. PrizePicks offers projections on any sport that you watch too, not just NFL football. Tons of projections for every sport: NBA, MLB, NHL, PGA. We're talking college sports, motor sports, combat sports, even disc golf and cricket. You name it. They've got projections at PrizePicks so you can play fantasy every single day, even when your year-long fantasy leagues have gone in the tank. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. Super easy, fast and safe withdrawals, and currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code LOCKEDON. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, PrizePicks will give you $50. Don't forget to enter promo code LOCKEDON at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. To wrap it up on Kyle Shanahan, and I do get some of it. When was the last time Kyle's offense carried this team? And that does get a little difficult. I mean, we talked about this during the week. It was like, okay, well, can the offense, like, if you're going into a week where, hey man, the offense has to carry you this week, are you just screwed? You just write down an L and move on and say, hopefully we get healthy and the defense can carry us, because the offense in the passing game is just never going to carry the 49ers.
I hope that's not the case, because you go into and not to look ahead, we're still talking about this game, but you got the Kansas City Chiefs coming to town next week. And, are you going to have Travis Ward out there? You're already down Emmanuel Mosley, and you got, Womack and Lenore out there, and against a team that's going to spread it out and be very high-powered. And I think you have to know, like, hey, we got to put up minimum, 27 points, right? Like, that's got to be the mindset. And I don't have any confidence that you get that out of this team right now, and that's tough. Offense, again, leaning on the offense. We've seen this team, score on defense, have the pick sixes, get a bunch of stops. But when you're not getting that type of performance from the defense, can the offense then pick the slack? And that's the part where it does not feel like you get that. And to answer his question, when's the last time Kyle's offense carried the team? A lot of times when you do see the offense carry the team, it's in the run game. So if you're not getting that, then that's trouble, right? Look at the NFC Championship game against the Packers, run game, right? I guess you can kind of point to the Saints game where the offense, did their thing, but you the fact that you can be like, oh, the Saints game, or maybe this Arizona game, like it's very few and far in between.
Alex says game ball to the blue medical tent on both sides. That was a tough one, man. Folks have asked about any updates on the injuries. I've not heard the post-game presser. All I know is that there's too many guys that got hurt, and we'll have updates on future episodes about that. One question I do want to address really quick here that we're not going to have time to get to on today's show, but also future episodes, we will talk more about, hey, if the 49ers are injured, if the 49ers need some help, if they need some reserves, where can they find those? Well, the trade deadline is coming up, and I think there are some teams like the Carolina Panthers that might be trading some guy. Cade says, only way to win with Jimmy is with an elite defense. We got to trade for Derek Brown and Dante Jackson, then get healthy. Two very interesting names that I would be behind making an offer for to the Carolina Panthers. We'll talk some more about those names later in the week. Really quick, Croc, do you have any, after a loss, a lot of fans get down. Lake City Fresh says, Croc and Peacock, my Niner spirit is broken. I feel the faith leaving. Do you have any words of encouragement for some fans that might be feeling this way right
now? No. Usually I have something, but I mean, it's tough because you're in this situation where, week after week, I keep saying, okay, the offense. Like, can they get it together? Can they look a little bit more cohesive? And you're just not getting it. And to stack on top of that, the injuries that they have on defense, that you kind of need to carry this team. And it doesn't look great. I'd say that. It doesn't look great. Hey, but weird thing, you look at this and, everybody, Jimmy Garoppolo gives you the best chance to win. You hear a lot of that.
I will say this, the 49ers are going to get healthy. Bosa's going to be back. Not only is he a monster against the pass, he's really good. Elite level, top of the league, defending the run as well, setting the edge. That's going to fix a lot on the defensive side of the ball, but they got to get Charvarius back. They've got to fix some things in the secondary. You can't miss both starting corners, both starting tackles, both starting the entire starting defensive line essentially banged up in this game. Like that's too much to overcome. The 49ers are going to be healthier and they're going to win a lot of football games.
But Peacock, yeah, that is a lot to overcome. But you have George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. Like, you got Jimmy Garoppolo, Kyle Juszczyk. Like, figure it out, bro. That's why you have this head coach who is a mastermind and genius and has all these minions and all this. Like, you have the weapons. Like, those players are legit, right? So, okay, you got all these injuries on defense. Like, bro, figure it out. That's why we bring you here.
Well, and then on top of that, the offense can't give the other team points too. The Wilson fumble that was returned for a touchdown. But when you look at the numbers, I mean, even with the drops, Jimmy G's numbers were good enough. Like that's what I'm talking about. He was 29 of 41 passing, 296 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, the 2 picks, 87 passer rating. Even with the drops, he should have been well over 300 yards. Should have had another touchdown on the day, probably on at least one of those throws. And you talk about Ayuk, Kittle, Deebo. Ayuk for sure gets a game ball on this one. 11 targets for Ayuk, 8 of 83, 2 touchdowns. George Kittle, 10 targets. Deebo Samuel, 10 targets. They were targeting the playmakers, right? So those guys did their jobs. I think you got to credit at some point the Falcons for doing a good job of tackling, and they didn't make a bunch of big plays and catch and runs. Deebo didn't get loose, made some nice plays, but didn't get completely loose. Had a couple carries as well for 11 yards.
I think they kind of went away from Kittle a little bit in that game. They started off, they did some things, and then, I mean, you talk about he had like 8 catches, but like 4 of them were on the last drive where, like, you have no timeouts. They're protecting the sidelines. And it's like, all right, here you go, Kittle. Here you go, Kittle. Here you go, Kittle.
And they're going super slow. It's like, okay, you want to gain 15 yards over the middle of Kittle. We don't care. We're not going to lose the game if you do that.
Right.
And then last week, remember the way the game started with Kittle getting tons of targets. They ran down the field and scored. And Kittle never got targeted. Didn't get targeted a single time, I don't think, in the second half of the game last week. So it's really weird where all of a sudden they're like, oh, yeah, let's target Kittle a whole bunch right now. And then he gets lost and forgotten for huge portions of the game. So even more so targets, but I'd love seeing at least all 3 of those guys got 10 targets in this game. So kind of on the right path there.
I don't think the 49ers want to, target those guys 10 plus times each, but I do think there's a scenario where they should all get minimum 6 to 8 targets a game, minimum. That should be the standard.
For sure. I'm with you 100%. Yeah.
Christopher says without a run game, Kyle's offense is trash. I mean, how do you feel about
that? That's the way it's been. I think that's fair. And I've kind of been. There's Kyle deserves some, like, this is year 6 for Kyle. Like, this is your offense. It should be better, right? Kyle Shanahan, for the credit Kyle Shanahan gets for an offensive mastermind, his offenses should be better.
With guys that have been here for a majority of that time.
His system,
right? I mean, even Deebo Samuel, like this is his 4th year in the offense. George Kittle, he's been here the entire time. Brandon Ayuk, this is his 3rd year. Kyle Juszczyk, he's been here the entire time. Jimmy Garoppolo has pretty much been here the entire time, outside of kind of just not being there at all this offseason, all that weird time. But I mean, these are players, the core nucleus of guys that you need to be able to depend on. And again, you are the offensive coach. The guys are there for you to be very good offensively. It's not just a thrown together group and it's like, you're just trying to figure it out. So I think that's the weird part when you look at this team right now and where they're at. And I'm questioning again. The question came up before the game. Hey man, like there's a lot of injuries to the defense. Can the offense carry them in the game? And the fact that they showed like, no, Croc, we just can't do that. This far into this tenure, that's a little that can be questioned.
Yeah, and here's a good question from SF49 or says Ray and Charlie don't come up with balls. Why are they the ones getting those looks? And you've got Danny Gray, 4.3 speed. He's in street clothes. Is he in the Kyle Shanahan doghouse? Is it because he had an illness early in the week? I'm not sure, but like you would like to see that Ray McLeod target go to Debo, go to Ayuk, go to Danny Gray, maybe. I think that's also fair. And Charlie Warner, I mean, he's not like you shouldn't be trying to facilitate targets to Charlie Warner, but maybe that's why those guys are open, because the defense knows that, and the defense isn't paying a lot of attention to him. They're getting singled up. And that's one of the things with Ayuk too. He needs to make more plays on the ball, needs to be open a lot, because he's getting a lot of singled up looks. So to me, Brandon Ayuk should be winning a lot every single week, because teams are keying so hard on Debo.
Yeah, I agree. And that should make his production better, targets there, which, again, we saw today. I think that could be something that you get from him every week. Not saying he goes for 80 yards every week, but, I watched this guy that, went a few picks before him, Justin Jefferson. And I don't want to compare him to Justin Jefferson, but they figure out a way. He's going to have over 100 yards a game. Right? They just figure it out.
Oh, it's fun.
I think with Brandon Ayuk, there's that opportunity there.
Ayuk still gets a game ball for me in this game. Couple of touchdown passes, or a couple of touchdown receptions, 8 catches for 83, led the 49ers there through the air as a receiver. I'm going to do it. I'm going to give a game ball to Jimmy Garoppolo.
Ooh.
Which people are going to hate, but that's okay.
Yeah.
He played good. The numbers in the end looked okay for Jimmy. The 2 picks don't look great. What the numbers should look like for Jimmy should be a lot better. We should be talking about, man, the 49ers offense did carry the 49ers, and they were able to win this. But there was the fumble return for a touchdown, key drops. Those things don't happen. 49ers win this game with their offense because of their passing game, in my opinion.
And it's weird that we're giving the ball to Ayuk. You gave a game ball to Jimmy Garoppolo. And I'm going to give a game ball to the offensive line, because I thought, at least, again, I have to watch it back, but for the most part, I thought they did a solid job in pass protection. There was one player early in the game, and I think Jimmy threw an incompletion, but I'm like, dang, he's just standing there in the pocket, and like nobody's coming at him. And it's just like, it was almost like he felt like he had too much time. And he's like, I don't like this. Let me just throw it. And he threw an incomplete pass because he had like 10 seconds of protection. But for a team that lost, I don't know. I think we have to stop giving out the game balls to the offensive line, because for the team that lost because your offense couldn't figure it out,
and couldn't run
giving all these game balls. That's a little weird. That's a little weird.
There was somebody in the chat earlier asking, like, Ty Davis Price healthy, he's back in the game, yet like off the street, Tevin Coleman's getting the carries. He spent a 3rd round pick on a running back. Shouldn't he be a factor?
Ty Davis Price is hurt though.
He was active. He was there. He was ready. He was in the game.
Was he?
Yeah. He was activated this week. He was in the game. He was actually lead blocker on one of the Debo carries on one play. I only saw him on the field maybe twice in the entire game. He was playing definitely behind Tevin Coleman. Maybe he's not up.
I was a little high up, so
yeah. It was easy to miss him. He was barely on the field, so I'm not surprised. But yeah, no, that's a fair point. How about this for a game ball, Croc? Because of he didn't even suit up. But how valuable is Nick Bosa.
Very. The fact that Marcus Mariota threw one incomplete pass. I mean,
And
and every time I'm looking, I'm just like, Nick Bosa would be there. Nick Bosa would be there. Nick Bosa would be there. I just, in my head, I just kept saying it. And it was just, I really felt his absence this game.
Yeah.
Even though the defensive line, they got back there a couple times, but I felt the absence of.
Yeah. I like the effort sack
Bosa.
from Jake Jackson. Second reaction play there, getting the sack on Mariota. I would say, and the run game, like Nick Bosa is so good against the run too. Like the dude is a really good football player. So it's important to get him back next week against the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm kind of, even though the 49ers lost this game, would he have tilted the tide? Like, would the 49ers have won because just he was out there? I don't know, but I like that they left him so he's not getting hurt. How about this?
I think they lost containment a few too many times on the edge. And there was a play, Samuel Womack, and I watched and I'm looking like, dude, why are you – first of all, I was expecting it. I said it to the fan that was next to me, like, man, they got to make sure they watch Mariota right here just in case he pulls. And he pulled, and the cornerback crashed down. And it's like, Womack, you're probably not going to get in there and make a difference in the run game. Make sure that you're looking at the one person that can hurt you, which is the quarterback keeping, and he got outflanked there. I didn't like seeing that. And then Womack did get beat on the touchdown by Kyle Pitts on the slant route where, you have your one-on-one out there on the outside with Pitts, and potentially, they throw the fade, but you can't be outside shade on that. And Pitts gave him a little something at the top of the route. I don't even think he needed to. I think he could have just ran straight at him and then crossed his face with ease. And you got to be a little bit more inside shade. I got to look at it again and see what they were doing or trying to do defensively. And that play took a little bit of a while. And I know Mariota went all the way from his right to his left late in the touchdown. So maybe his eyes moved a guy that was potentially supposed to be helped. Mm-hmm. But that was definitely something that kind of jumped out a little bit to me.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe Womack did think he had some help inside, but it's so hard in the red zone like that. And maybe that's why Womack's seemingly in the doghouse. I mean, he got to play because Charvarius Ward left the game, and we'll have injury updates later on in the week. But that was a rough one for Womack on both of those touchdown plays. And how about Hufanga? Because he left the game on that opening drive, and Odom entered the game, and instantly, boom, 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 getting targeted. Getting beat on the touchdown by Michael Pruitt without Hufanga in there. I think we saw how good Hufanga is and how impactful he is too. So I almost want to give him a game ball because of how different it looks when he's in the game and when he's not. Any more game balls, Croc, before we wrap this thing up?
Nope.
How about how much credit do we give the Atlanta Falcons in this game? Do you give Marcus Mariota a game ball?
Mariota for sure, and I talked about him just being a guy who, just figure out ways to make plays. I think he did a good job of, one, not giving away the game, right? It's like, hey, 49ers shorthanded, all right, I'm not going to mess up. And, he threw one incompletion all day. I thought the offensive coordinator did a tremendous job of keeping the Falcons ahead of the sticks, right? Like how many third and long situations, how many second and long situations were the Falcons in the entire game? I felt like everything was 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. And you had to hope, like, 49ers, please hold them on this 3rd and 1 opportunity or 3rd and 2. So they continued to be ahead of the sticks, and I thought Mariota did a good job of, even on the one where it was like, hey, it's 3rd and 13, he's like, look, let me make guys miss and run off for a 20-yard gain or whatever it was. So definitely got to give Marcus Mariota a game ball.
Aminihu nominated for a game ball. I think that's a pretty good call. Shock Max says, give yourselves a game ball. Appreciate that. James says, glad to meet you, Croc. Thanks for the convo. And Smithy says, game ball for the faithful, taking over Atlanta. Did you have some good interactions with the 49ers faithful there, Croc?
Oh, yeah, man. Every game, great interaction with the fans. Everybody, they'll come up to me and tell me how they listen to the show. It's awesome every time and kind of, very humbling. Heck, I just took a picture in front of the, like, downtown Atlanta. They have, like, the Olympic rings. And I don't know if that's where the site was when they had the Olympics there or whatever's going on there. But, I took a picture in front of it. And the lady says, oh, Eric Crocker, I listen to you every day, me and my husband. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. A lot of times I still don't know exactly what to say.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're Eric Crocker. Yeah, I am. But yeah, a lot of love, for people that listen to Locked On, and people told me to tell you too, how much they enjoy listening to you every day.
That's fantastic. We appreciate you guys. We love that you folks listen to us every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. That's why it's our slogan for your second listen. Check out Croc doing Locked On NFL Draft. I'm doing the Peacock and Williamson show every single day right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Croc and I back tomorrow talking about potential trades for the 49ers, injury updates, and more as we get ready for week 7 and the Kansas City Chiefs. Croc and I back tomorrow right here, Locked On 49ers.